Yeah, welcome back to Femme Tell All, and this is episode 3.
Yes, it is.
What's
your name?
My name is If you don't know my name by now,
Yeah, but you never know when they're gonna get it.
My name is Ruth Devereaux,
And I'm Madison Bellissimo.
and today we are going to get a little bit deeper on an experience that Maddie just went through.
Yep.
And unfortunately, this is more common.
I'm so sorry.
It should be.
I'm like not taking it serious. It's a very serious subject, but
it
I'm like
is.
already like I'm already clowning myself over this.
No, do not
Yes.
do that.
No, I know. I just saw my face being like, yeah, this is very serious. And I was like, girl, it is a very serious subject.
It is. I mean, it's not like, we of course try to find light and silver lining in all experiences.
Yeah, and honestly, to laugh about it, it does help.
It's
a crazy situation.
It's insane.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's your relationship status?
So, as we previously discussed on the last episode, I told you all that I'm single, and I told you that I had just gotten out of a really pretty shitty relationship.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll say it was a shitty breakup, not a shitty relationship, which is funny. Because LOL, it was a shitty relationship, but not being in it, or like being in it,
let's
I
explain.
wasn't.
Let's start from the beginning. So you met this person.
Yeah.
And organically.
Yeah, in the wild, which is kind of makes it harder too.
Yeah. It wasn't like she went searching. She wasn't looking for anything at the time.
Yeah. I had just gone through a breakup 2 weeks before, which is even a little more fucked up that he knew that I had gone through a bad breakup.
And you met this person.
Mm-hmm.
And initially were not interested in dating them.
Yeah. LOL. So I met the person in question at one of my
Just call
favorite.
him asshole for
short.
For sure.
No, we're not going to stoop to his level, even though you
will.
can. Yeah. I'm going to be cordial.
I'm not
as much as I can
in
be.
this storytelling.
Yeah, no,
you play that role, I'll play the other role.
That's fair. So I met this person at one of my favorite karaoke bars, and the like famous story goes that like I had just gone through a really kind of tough breakup out of a situationship, which. Arguably, sometimes those are harder than actual like 4-year long relationships. Trust me, I've been through both breakups, and for some reason, sometimes the situationship ones can hurt more because it's like this push and pull, and that person
this idea of what could have been too,
yes,
right?
and
That
like,
never came.
It
to
never
fruition.
came to fruition, and at that point, I was I was dating that guy before him for months, and like going on double dates with his parents. And he wouldn't define the relationship. So, LOL. Anyway, I had just gotten out of that situationship, and I was very fragile, very much so like, oh, I'm not going to date for a while because I don't want to. Yeah. And I was very hurt, but I wasn't too hurt that I was like, fuck men or anything like that. I don't ever get that way anyway, but like.
Even after this, not really.
Yeah, no, truly. Because I love men.
One time she called me and she was like, I'm like insanely straight. It's crazy.
It's a problem sometimes. But anyway, let's not talk about how I ogle men. I had met this man at a bar. I was in a shitty mood. I was at a birthday party that I didn't, just to give you guys context, paint the scene, paint the picture. I was really not wanting to be at this bar. A glass got knocked out of my hand at one point. I was like, cool. I'll go fuck off. It just felt like everything was just not working that night. And I should have taken that as a sign, but he did in that night seem really nice and lovely, and it was just platonic at first. I met this guy, we were bantering back and forth, and he made me laugh, and that is usually what happens as far as making me like, hello,
maybe
if I think you're funny and smart. So he seemed both of those two things, and we started talking right away. But I was very unapologetically pretty strict.
You were very straightforward.
Yeah,
you were very much like, this is what I just came out of. I'm not looking for anything.
Yeah.
And he was very much like, oh, I'm fine waiting
Yeah.
and fine being your
I
friend.
think before even that, yeah, he did. It was more emphasis on the like, no, I just want to be friends with you. And I was like, okay, bet, let's be friends.
Yeah.
And mistake number one, we went out to dinner 2 nights after meeting each other. And again, I was thank you for saying straightforward.
Yeah.
I painted as this like very aggressive, like,
No.
don't touch the check, like, which I was. I 1000% was. But I was straightforward. I was like, hey, this happened. And I told him a little about it. At the dinner, we talked about exes. We talked about friendships. We talked about living in LA, the industry. He's in an affiliate industry to mine. He has a band. I can say that.
Yeah.
So anyway, and
Shitty band.
it's not a shitty band.
I've never listened to them.
As much as I'd like to say that, but it's not. Anyway, all that to say, we got along right away, and we started spending a lot of time together as friends. And we did so for 3 weeks, and that was great. I promise we're getting to the nitty gritty here. I am telling a long story.
We're setting the stage.
We're setting the stage, but then we, after like 3 or so weeks, we finally, of spending a lot of time together as friends, he was like, hey, I'm going to combust unless I kiss you. And I was like, what? It's like, I thought we were just friends. Even though by that time I was like already starting to crush on him.
Yeah.
But it did take.
It took a while.
It took a little while.
You took your time
Yeah,
with it. And again, you weren't in that place. You weren't looking for anything.
Yeah.
And you verbalized that. You verbalized what you had just come out of.
Yeah.
And this person played the long game and really made you feel safe and cared for.
Yeah, thank you for illustrating that. Yeah, the safe and patient thing was very like what got me in it. And again, it was someone that's not usually my type too, even though I've notoriously dated musicians, but
not this type of look.
Not my usual archetype. So then we started casually, I guess, sleeping together, and then before dating. And we were like dating and sleeping together. And we did that for a little while, and then we, after me kind of tooth and nail being like, okay, I don't know if I like want to like dip my toes fully into the relationship, even though we had exclusively said that we had said that we were exclusively sleeping with each other. We were not trying to, date anyone else either. We ended up making it official back in March. Yeah. And so the timeline, just to give everyone, I met him in January and started dating officially in March. Obviously, all of February we were together pretty much. And and by the time we broke up in late May. So in between March and May, a really fantastic relationship. Completely. This man, I truly, my family loved him. My friends loved him. I was like, I've never been, adored like this, and treated like this.
Trust me, I saw them together, and, I would have always, I would have given my life that this person was, completely and utterly, in this relationship with you.
Yeah, spoiler alert, he was not. So then, it was one of those things that, I've never felt so comforted in a relationship that deep, where we were, officially together and sleeping together and doing all these things, and it was so intimate. And, again, I felt, so safe. I want to touch on the words that it's, scary to think about in hindsight. I felt very safe. I felt very listened to. I felt respected. That was one thing that he was always really respectful of women. Spoiler alert, he was not, but seemingly so. Was very, very respectful. Again, won over everyone. Not one person had a bad thing to say about him. And
we all trusted him too.
Yeah.
It felt like we I think the people around you care for you so deeply. You have such a great family structure. You have such a great group of friends, including me. But everybody around you truly cares for you so much that you had dated people in the past where we were like, I don't know.
Yeah, literally, namely the person that was right before him. Yeah. All you guys were like, we support you. We love you. We get why you're with him, but
we don't know.
The guy is not.
Whereas this guy came along, and I think we all felt like, oh, this person will take care of her and love her and be the type of partner you deserve.
Yeah, totally. I even brought this up the other day to my family. We were just kind of reminiscing. And I was like, that one thing that he said over and over again was like, I protect you. Like, I'll protect you. I protect you. And it's, Will's like, and it's true because it's like crazy to like, you hear these things and you take them as fact and as honesty. And you're just like, okay. And funny enough, like this man specifically fought me on a lot of things. And when I say fought, I use that loosely. But, when you're physically intimate with someone, like, he kind of love bombed me at the beginning where like he would call me perfect all the time and he told me I was like a work of art and like all these really beautiful romantic things, but like some women are already, I'm probably like listeners are probably like that fucking guy's a liar. But he said all these beautiful things where I was.
But it wasn't like it didn't come across as like I've been love bombed. I know like what it didn't. It came across as very genuine. In the way it was even said and done and like the timing of it never felt like
never rushed. Again, we had 3 weeks of friendship where we really didn't even make any moves on each other. It was really platonic. So again, we built this trust with each other. And by the time we were physically intimate, we kissed for like 2 weeks before we even slept together. So it's like LOL. But I'm giving you really the details of the timeline. But so by the time we were having sex with each other and very physically intimate, he fought me a lot on that kind of thing where I was like, don't call me perfect. I will throw up. And he was like, no, I won't do it if it makes you uncomfortable, but I truly feel that way. And like, I'm sorry if it comes out. That's how I feel about you. And it's like, that's what's so scary is that built such a deeper trust with me because I was like, oh my God, he really feels this way. And when he would bring it up again, he would say it, and again, he would respect my boundaries, but then he would like kind of slip it back in another time, and he'd be like, I think you're perfect, or like, you look perfect, or whatever, and I'd be like, and I'd be like, don't say that, but also like really struck by it, like very like felt taken care of, and I felt like I was perfect for him. So all of that to say, built a very strong foundation of trust, and again, everyone felt this way, and I met his friends. I know all of his friends out here in LA. LOL. Hi, guys. I know his friends from back home where he's from. They had come and visited him before he went on a trip. I met all of his friends.
And vice versa. He met your friends.
All of my friends, all my family. He'd spent a lot of time with my family, and I'm very protective of my family. So it's like I already don't introduce all the guys that I date to my family. So if you get that far, like you've gone.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's like a barrier that you've created.
Yes, 1,000%. So so this person is like fully integrated into my family, helped me move, like doing things that are like, yes, again, boyfriend kind of duties, right? But like going above and beyond so many times. And like even we can use the move, for example, we always love bringing up the stories. Like I cut my finger really quickly when I was, and this man flipped out. He was like, are you okay? Like
he's like, I don't know, I can't look at it.
Yeah, he was like, do you need me to take you to the doctor right now? And I was like,
it was like a nick.
It's a cut. It literally, I was like, LOL.
I know. I just got that too.
Anyway, so I was like, I'm good. It's okay, baby. We're good. And he was always like that. Like, again, that protecting. Like, I just want to make sure you feel good, whatever. Like, it was so doting. This man drew on a whiteboard every single time I would come over to his house. So adoring. I would talk to him all day, every day. We'd slept with each other like 5-6 nights a week, 4 nights a week. Very
so essentially, like there was nothing here that would ever cause for pause. Like it would never like make you think like, oh, I should be questioning this person.
Yeah, and no one did really question. No. So we're bringing all of this up to say that like sometimes you can be in a relationship that seems like it's fantastic and amazing, and they can be among many things. We don't know what he's diagnosed, but we'll throw out a couple things. Maybe a pathological liar.
Wait, you have to get to that part. Rewind. Okay, so we're going through this beautiful relationship. And then
so I fell in love with the man. Clown. No, I'm kidding. I know that what I had experienced led me to that, and I'm not at all.
No.
Like I don't feel any regret there because I'm like that was what I was led to believe, and I felt that, and like good on me for being able to love someone that deeply.
Absolutely.
Not to like pat myself on the back, but I'm like, I'm glad that I have that capability. So, I'm not ashamed of it even slightly. So I fall in love with him and I tell him, and he can't say it back. And that's normal. Like I'm
fine,
semi-normal, and I think like it happens. I think there's a lot of times where you've heard different stories of people like,
Totally,
I didn't tell my person until 2 weeks after they told me, or like it was really scary.
It doesn't
to
have to
hear.
be like for sure. Like it doesn't have to be like one person says it and you're required to say it.
Yes, and I even said that to him,
Yeah.
and I truly felt that way, And and then a week after that, pretty much a little over a week after I had told him I loved him, he randomly came over one day, and this is after a week of spending multiple days with each other.
They took her mom to the airport together.
Yeah, like really spending time with my family and my friends, and like date nights and all the things that were normal for us, and everything seemed back to normal. And he came over one night and was like, "I'm sorry, I just don't know why I can't say I love you." And and he kind of put the breakup on me. He kind of was like, he wanted me to say it, and that was obviously incredibly disappointing and upsetting and heartbreaking. But
it felt like out of nowhere.
I did feel out of nowhere. But in the same moment when it happened, I was like, cool, okay. My boundary was like pretty hard. I was like, if you don't know that you love me and you're now pulling this as like you're the victim, I'm okay with walking away from this. And thank God, because I had just done this the last relationship, where I was like, if you're not gonna openly choose me,
then why would I choose you?
I'm okay. Like I don't need to have someone that's half-assed about me. So so I swiftly broke things off, or like we broke things off at the same time. He broke up with me, but I don't know even what he would say. He's a liar anyway. So but it was like a very like a discussion, tears. This man was sobbing the entire time, and I'm like, okay. I didn't cry. I was like, okay. I was just shell shocked mostly.
Absolutely.
And we got through the breakup. I pack up all his shit. I'm like, let's go. You can get out now. Give me my garage remote back. All the things. And we break up, and it is pretty devastating for me. There's a good portion of my next 3 weeks that I was.
Well, because there was also just like a lot of questions, like why? Like we're all like, he loved you.
Yeah.
Like what was this rush to like end things? Like where was this like click that was just like, oh, I can't be with this person.
Yeah.
Like it didn't make sense.
Switch? Yeah, and he really didn't ever make me believe that he didn't care about me. And not that he ever said that once we were breaking up, but the love thing. I mean, you, my dad, my sister, and these are people that are not like easily impressed typically. We're like, oh, this guy's crazy about you. I've never seen someone look at you like this. And it was very intense. So even to get the first brunt of the like him not saying I love you back was shocking. And then to have the breakup a little over a week later was even more shell-shocking. So it leads me to believe that like 3 weeks later, I'm like pretty upset and heartbroken, and I'm just kind of like, wow, okay, he walked away, and like I respect that, and like I think he's gonna come back. Obviously at that point I was like, there's no way he's not gonna come back. And I was like, but the sad part is like, who knows if I'm gonna want to even talk to him, in that I'd communicate with him, but not like necessarily give him a second chance. And then a lovely DM came in. Oh, this DM saved my goddamn life. Yeah. I'm telling you. And it was a hey girly. It was a hey girly, I've been fucking your boyfriend. But the funny part, LOL, that's the clip. No, literally. The funnier part is the DM that I received was not from the woman. She was led to believe that we were no longer dating when she was sleeping with him. So she really was coming to me to commiserate, funny enough, not even to say like, hey, girlie, I slept with your boyfriend. She came to me to be like, hey, sorry, this is inappropriate. I know you used to date blah, blah, blah. I met you at one of his tennis matches. Yes, he plays tennis in LA. So if you want to ask, ask around. Happy to tell you.
Band member that plays tennis
in LA, lives in the Valley, has tattoos. So anyway, she came to me and was like, this might be inappropriate, but I know you used to date blah, blah, blah. I met you right before him and I started sleeping together, and we just broke up in a situationship, and it was really bad. And I just wanted to see if you went through the same thing I did. Yeah. Like, absolutely. I sent screenshots right away. Sent 2 screenshots, rapid fire. I was like, I didn't even blink before I sent the screenshot to Noah and you.
Yeah.
And Noah called me right away and was like, the fuck? And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what is real anymore. Because what? I was like, there's no way. This man would have never cheated on me. LOL. And I truly was like, huh? And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to talk with this woman.
Yeah.
And I did. We arranged a time to talk, and it was great. And when I say great, it was heartbreaking, but in the way that it was so vindicating, because I was like, oh, this man isn't real. Like, the man I dated is a figment of me and your imagination, you know? And the funnier part, and funny, like, haha, you know, she told me her whole story before she even knew any of my story. So when she's telling me all of this very openly, unapologetically, and like, shout out to you for sharing your story, thank you. Yeah. I was like, she didn't know that there was going to be a swift kick to the face of like, and by the way, I was officially his girlfriend that entire time. Yeah. And it's just unfortunate that sometimes that can happen. These people can really be seemingly so kind, so compassionate, so respectful of women, and they're literally potentially a pathological liar, potentially a narcissist. Yeah, there's some
potential
personality
for sure, definitely.
There's some personality disorders happening there.
And again, like, I think what we were touching on at the beginning is, unfortunately, this isn't uncommon.
No. Both of us have dated narcissists before.
Oh, for sure.
LOL.
No, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah. And it's sometimes, unfortunately, it happens. And unfortunately, it happens often.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have dated narcissists before, like me and you, we've been like, oh, okay, watch out for that. We know what that smells like. We know what that looks like. We know what that tastes like. Yeah. And this man really bamboozled all of it. He's a expert manipulator. So
no, without a doubt. So I have to ask you, like, so now having gone through that situation, you're coming out on the other end, like, you're still going through the healing process. Yeah. Like, I guess if somebody is watching that's maybe just found out or going through the same thing, like, what do you tell them? Like, what have you learned from your experience that you're like, this is how you can process?
Oh, I mean, first of all, like, if anyone just found out that kind of heavy information, I just want to be like, I'm so sorry that anyone treated you like that. That was the hardest thing for me, is like, whether you're a good person or not, like, whether you did something, whether you cheated on them or not, like, just being treated like that, having someone manipulate you to that degree, or like attempt to manipulate you,
or utilize your emotions against you.
And like, and truly, like, what was really so hurtful for me was he was integrated into my family and my friends. And like, again, that's such a deep part of, like, I'm like, okay, yeah, fuck with me, but don't fuck with my friends. Don't fuck with my family. You know, I'm like, I'll square up with you, but like, don't do this to them. Like, so yeah, I think that was really hard. So anyone that is finding that out, I'm, first of all, so unbelievably sorry that you're going through this. I will also say, like, in a very short time, you're going to be like, wow, I dodged a bullet.
Yes.
And so many people say that right away. Like, I will say, so many people are like, oh, thank God it didn't, like, it wasn't longer. Thank God you really dodged a bullet. He would have been so awful, like, so glad. But it's like, I still was mistreated so deeply. And like, yes, I agree with you. I dodged a bullet, and thank God it wasn't longer. And thank God I didn't marry him, or, you know, God forbid, do any of those things. Right. Not that was in talks, but in the way of, like, you're in a relationship with someone. It's not the pipeline is there, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, I would just say, like, please know that, like, you will get yours, and like, you are going to be able to move on. And unfortunately, the people that are like my ex, who are like incredibly ill and sick, like I don't believe they are going to be able to receive the type of help that they need.
Well, they probably don't even recognize that they need help. They're seeing it from a perspective that isn't clear at all. Yeah. And God only knows what they're telling themselves.
Yeah, and others, you know, absolutely.
And so I think I've said this to you, and I say it a lot, is like, when you're mistreated and that person is taken out of your life, whether by your choice or by their choice, like, you get to go on living your life, being the amazing person you are, creating the incredible life you're going to create for yourself. They get to live in that shit.
Yeah.
They are stuck in that unless they make some major change, which is it's like you have to first recognize it. You have to get help. You have to it takes a lot of work, and people can, and we want to support that change and that growth, but most people don't.
Won't. Yeah, I would say. Because I think like specifically this person that we're in question, he's a very smart man, and like that's why he was able to pull this off. Yeah. In other ways, he's not smart because he let this go. LOL. No, I'm kidding. But in the way of like, there is a very high chance that he used his past therapy to use tools to manipulate me, which is just
disgusting.
So crazy. And I hate to use that word like colloquially, but like it is just insane and wild that someone could use something that's intended for healing, and then you know, it's like the Jonah Hill thing, being like using his therapy language to manipulate,
utilizing the language that somebody else has learned to heal, and using that healing against them
to
in a way,
manipulate someone else. And so that's that. My initial thing would be like, I'm so sorry, and you will be fine. Like you will get through it. It's like I already feel 10 times better than I did 2 months ago. Like, and 2 months ago was when we broke up. So I mean, it hasn't even been that long since I found out about the other woman, and not like the quote unquote other woman, but the woman that was sleeping with him and had a situationship with him. So I think that would be my first thing, and be like, lean on your people, because Lord knows I've leaned heavy on my family, my friends, my therapist. Shout out, girl. And it's true. Like you need to do that. Like I think my other friend Noah, you know, she had said to me, which was very sweet, but also I was like, fuck, is she had mentioned like, when you had gone through that breakup back in early January, I thought, wow, I've never seen Maddie so upset. And it's true. You know, it was in our years of friendship, she had never seen me that distraught, you know, and that was over a situationship. And then come a couple months later, I'm worried that the person I was dating was the last person, this man in question that we're talking about. I saw him liking some pictures and commenting on some pictures, and I'd love to do an episode on that.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, about just like
social media
etiquette.
In general.
Social media etiquette. Because it is subjective.
Absolutely,
and even though I had found things that were somewhat incriminating, I was like really wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I was so distraught, and Noah brought that up and was like, and I didn't think I'd seen you distraught until I saw that, and I was like, wow, she's really distraught. She loves this man so much, and that really hurt her, even though he wasn't actively trying to hurt her. And then she said the breakup, she was like, wow, that was like the hardest I'd ever seen you, you know, fall. And then LOL, then I found out about him having a secret life and relationship. And let me just preface this by saying, like, he didn't just cheat, you know, and cheating is, I'm not trying to excuse that. But it wasn't just a cheating where he had told the woman that he was sleeping with, like, I have a girlfriend, we're just sleeping together, like, this is on the side, and like keeping it pretty like casual across the board. This man was actively lying to both of us, had told her that we had broken up, had told her that I had gone back with my ex, like made this whole elaborate story.
Was with her for a weekend and told the other girl he was out of town because his grandma died?
Because his grandma died. He lied about his grandma dying, or his step-grandma, or whatever. Yeah. And it's just insane. Like, truly, like, who does that? And like, you know, lied about, even sexual health was put into, like, in danger.
Yeah.
He was lying about who he was sleeping with to her and to me. Obviously, we were in a closed, committed, exclusive relationship. And he had said some things to her that were not correct about his sexual health. And it goes so far, so deep, and to the point where the day of our breakup, he sent her a voice memo, which I've heard, by the way. If you're watching this, I've heard it. It's iconic. You deserve an Oscar. Yeah. It's hilarious because he's like, oh, Maddie, Maddie is pretty. Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know when she was born, because he's like talking about my age, which I'm like, they were talking about me, which is
so weird.
Wild.
And the day of,
The day of our breakup. And he goes, I mean, that was forever ago. That was like such a fleeting thing that, you know, I like barely remember it.
No, he said a fleeting relationship. Well, I mean, maybe it wasn't a relationship.
Oh, yeah, he did. He said relationship, caught himself and was like, I mean, I don't think you would even consider it a relationship.
Yeah.
And that was after 5 months of being with him, 4 months of being with him. So that just shows the like severity of how deep he was lying. So unfortunately, there are people out there like that. And I think also what I would say, sorry, let me just tag on. A lot of the grief that I've been holding, or at first, I would say my initial reaction was like, how could I have prevented this? How could I have known that I was dating some like genuinely psychotic person, someone that might be sociopathic? Again, we're speculating. But yeah, it was like, how could I shared my life with this person for months, and like, I know that's not that long, but it's long. And I was spending most nights with him. I was spending intimate moments with him all the time. Yeah. And I was like, how could I have known? How could I have like better equipped myself to not be in these relationships? And the answer is you can't, unfortunately. And I think that is the thing that's actually gotten me out of the depths quicker, has been like my therapist, my friends, my family, who had met him and had heard the story, seen the text messages, even the woman he was sleeping with, saw all of our text messages and saw how he would talk to me and was like, oh no, this was clearly a very deep, beautiful relationship that you had shared, or that he had painted for you. Yeah. And you just don't know sometimes. And I want you to, if you've been through this, if you're going through this, like if you do end up going through this, God forbid, it's not your fault. You know, if you find out, it doesn't make you any less of someone that could be trusting or in a relationship. Like you will find someone that is your Neil, you know, you will hopefully.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was going to be my next point too, because the worst thing I would want for you or for anybody that's gone through this is for them to take that away from you in the future. Yeah. For them to steal your ability to trust, or to be able to like fall in love completely because you have to hold yourself back. Like, that would be them winning in a way.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I love that you said that, because I think that's such a huge part of the healing process and like of allowing yourself to still be the loving person that you were, that these type of people tend to like attack all the time. Yeah, because they're trying to take from your light. Yeah. They're trying to take from the joy, or the person that you are is something that they can't possess. Yeah. And so they want to be around people that possess that, and then they want to take from that.
Oh, I think you're right. And at least in this instance, like, I think this person did, I do think he had feelings for me, maybe not, you know, who knows?
I do. I think in his own way.
It really doesn't matter at this point.
It doesn't.
Like,
no, it doesn't.
And I don't care, honestly, frankly. But at this point, it's, I think he was searching for a person like me that is like, I really wear my heart on my sleeve. I am someone that like really loves so intensely and deeply, and that's something that I do make fun of myself for. Sometimes I'm like a little like sheepish about, but I know it's my superpower. I do think that it's one of my, you know, things that like really makes me me. Yeah. And he's lucky he got to experience it for as long as he did. And I think the next person, when that's in 8 years, will be great, you know, hopefully we'll be able to build that, you know, and I think I've joked a lot that I will never date again, but we all know that I'm a lover girl, and I will unfortunately date and probably marry again. Not marry. I've never been married before. That's no, but no misleading here. But yeah, I think ultimately there is hope for a future, and by no means my experience with him like does that deter. It did at first. I was really shell shocked, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll never be able to trust someone again. But I'm doing good. We're good.
She's doing great.
Yeah.
And again, if anybody else is going through this, like, we just want that positive note of the future of where you can get to, and not allowing somebody to take you away from you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that, because you got to keep that light. You got to keep that, you know, and they don't deserve it, frankly, you know, and you've been in past relationships where that's where we've repeated to each other, like, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve your time and your energy. And like, truly, I have not reached out to this man once since we found out everything.
Yeah,
and
fuck that dude.
I'm like, I couldn't be less bothered with wanting to interact with him.
Yeah.
And it's because he frankly doesn't deserve it.
I do want to attack onto that a little bit because I know that some people struggle with the separation, especially if they were in these kind of relationships or with a narcissist and they've gone through. There's literally a term when you go through the love bombing and then the abuse stage and then back to like the normal and then back to the love bombing and abuse. It does make your brain addicted almost like a drug because of the highs and the lows of the chemicals being released in your brain. So if you're struggling with even like separating yourself from that person, don't judge yourself for that either. Like allow yourself the time to really like give yourself grace, but also try to get away from that relationship as soon as possible.
Yeah, especially if you're privy to it, like sometimes you won't be, unfortunately, until after, and that can suck too. But if you are in something that is perpetuating it, and it's a cycle, know that you deserve better. Know that you will find someone. Like I know you can speak from example. Like there have been times where I've been in past relationships where I was like, I'm never gonna find someone better than this because I had this great relationship and it was so like hot and heavy and blah blah blah, and then you meet someone and you're like, no, actually, LOL, like Men in Black, like wipe your memory, you know, you're like, oh, actually, I'm good and I want that person now. And
how many times I've been told by a guy, you're never gonna find anybody that loves you as much as I do, like so many times, and like every time it's always
the toxic one. Sorry, hot take, maybe not a hot take. The only time I've been told you'll never find someone who loves you as much as I do, narcissist. Narcissist. Yeah. So just take care of yourselves. Please, I'm sorry if you can relate. Oh, yeah, happy to. I want to spread the word in the way of like, first of all, I don't want any women in I was going to say the Valley, let's say, to date someone like this because I'm so sorry. Like, avoid it at all costs because first of all, he's not worth it. And second of all, like, you don't deserve to go through what I just went through or what the lovely other woman that had slept with him went through. Don't do it. You deserve better. And if you're able to be privy to it, seek help and people will help you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.